The boy wanted to do an experiment. He has a piece of meat, trying to feed the tiger, and reached straight into the cage. The tiger came over warily, looking at the fresh food. The tiger sniffed it first. Moment of truth. The boy's father appeared in time. The tiger fled at the sound. Then he saved his life. The father rebuked his son. If he hadn't come in time, the boy must break at least one arm. But he said it innocently. Every animal has a soul. It won't hurt me. So my father taught him a lesson in action. He had a sheep in his arms. Tie it to the outside of the cage. Then he let the tiger out. Apparently the father was right. The lesson of blood is to be remembered by the boy. He grew up a few years later. His name is Pi. This zoo is owned by his family, a well-off family, but because of a riot in India, the family had to emigrate to Canada by boat. Before they left, they took all the animals with them, but it was that night. A storm swept over their ship. Huge quantities of seawater poured into the cabin. Send a desperate rush back to the room. He wants to rescue his parents, but it's too late. The deck was full of frightened animals. The Pi was muddled into a lifeboat. Suddenly a zebra jumped off. The rope was broken in an instant. They fell down together. In the dark, Pi saw a figure on the sea. He hurriedly threw the life buoy and pulled him over. But take a closer look. It's the tiger in the zoo, and he had jumped into the boat. In the shadow of the tiger, Pi could only spend the night in the bow. The next day he climbed carefully into the boat. The tiger is gone. The only zebra left with a broken leg. Suddenly a hyena came out of the bottom of the boat, frightened him back to the bow again. Then a female orangutan came floating on a banana. Pi saved it with a stick at once. There is a new member in the small shelter, but the calm did not last long. The hungry hyenas began to attack the zebras, until the wounded zebra is bitten to death in the dark. Pi knows this is going on. He'll be food for hyenas sooner or later, so he made a simple raft out of his life jacket. But just as we were getting ready to launch, the hyenas are again attacking the females. But I didn't expect a smart orangutan. Knock it down with one blow. The right people should be thankful. Who knows that hyena suddenly launch a sneak attack. The female orangutan was brutally bitten to death. Pi finally broke out. He took out a dagger and fought with hyenas. After the tiger got rid of the hyena, I'm coming for Pi again, but fortunately the boat was swaying to and fro at sea. The tiger felt dazzled, and finally gave up the attack. Pi took the opportunity to open the canvas, found some supplies in there. He gulped down food to replenish his strength. There was a mouse in the cabin, got his attention, and the tiger came at him again. In a hurry, Pi grabbed the mouse and threw it straight into the mouth of the tiger. The poor little mouse was swallowed alive like this. Pi took the opportunity to escape to his raft. The tiger ate the zebra at night. Then he began to stare at the Pi in the distance. The Pi shivered in the dark. He knew he would die if he went on like this, so he worked out the plan according to the survival manual. First of all, he has to collect as much rain as possible, then record the date on the ship with a knife. But most of all, he's the one who's trying to tame this tiger. He turned the side of the boat against the wind and waves, because it makes the boat more bumpy, and used the whistle to make the tiger think of seasickness. Through trial and error, training, finally sent straight to the ship, he shouted at the tiger to assert one's sovereignty and piss on it. It shows that this is his territory, but the tiger did not. Pout his hips and respond to him with a bright yellow liquid. But Sen can only try to fish to feed old tiger. The only way to feed the tiger is, you're safe on your own. Didn't expect it. The tiger's appetite is bigger than he imagined. A boy and a tiger, stuck in the sea for over 10 days. The tiger is really hungry. Watching the food near the sea, the tiger jumps straight off. But the king of the forest is in the water. It's like having a tooth pulled out. Pi was about to laugh at it, and the next second, the tiger swam straight towards him. Pi panicked. He pulled the rope and jumped on the boat, and pulled the raft up. 2. The smooth surface of the boat gives the tiger nowhere to turn. Send a cruel heart. Raise the axe to kill it. But when the eyes of a tiger look at each other, he's still soft. Pi hesitated for a long time. At night he threw the board down as a ladder, and brought the tiger up. Pi was back on the small raft. After daybreak, he took all the supplies, are transferred to their own life rafts. Then a big fish got into the net. Pi immediately raised his axe and smashed it. Watch the color fade away from the fish's body. He broke down and cried, because this is his first killing. After asking God for forgiveness, Pi threw the big fish into the cabin, and fed them to the tigers. The sea was exceptionally calm that night. Countless jellyfish are reflected in the water, as if in a fairyland. The Pi was also deeply enchanted, but suddenly a whale leapt into the air. The boat was flipped over in an instant. The only food left was washed into the water. I don't know how long. They are at the end of their tether. The tiger's expression was fierce again. Moments of crisis. Suddenly a fish hit the Pi in the face, immediately following Article 2. Article 3. When they look back, tens of thousands of shoals of fish on the surface is coming right at them. The tiger on the side was so happy, and started hunting all the time. Suddenly a big fish fell into the cabin. The tiger pressed it with one claw. Pi realized, this is a good opportunity to re-establish oneself. He immediately raised his stick, and confronted the tiger. With a roar of rage, the tiger was finally cowed by Pi's momentum. In order to tame it completely, the Pi sharpened the stick, and then induced with fish meat. The tiger must be made to understand that food can only be given to him if he is obedient. Pi finally managed to drive it back into the cabin. That day they met a group of dolphins. But let's take a look. There was a cruise ship in the distance. He hurriedly took out his signal gun, and called for help. But until Billy ran out of bullets. The ship did not find them. Pi looked with disappointment at the tiger in the distance. We can only go on with the tiger. Can gradually a man and a tiger between. The beginning of a tacit understanding. They're afraid of each other from the beginning. To be there for each other. The night Pi and the tiger are telling the truth. And the tiger looks up at the stars. They healed each other in the dark. But not for long. It's a day of color change. The tiger hid in the cabin ahead of time. Then came a violent storm. The boat was constantly buffeted by the waves. And it went on for a long time. They finally waited until after the rain. Watching the dying tiger, the Pi caressed it gently. Now they don't have any strength. Can only wait to die quietly. The tiger is going to die. The boy poured water into his mouth. Still no response. Pi broke down. After a few months at sea. But there's nothing left to do. He heaved the tiger's head on his own leg. Touch it. Waiting in silence for death to come. But when he woke up again, Pi suddenly found out. They arrived on an island. I see hope. Pi went down in excitement. Snap a piece of vegetation off the ground. And munched on it. It's delicious. When he walked into the island, it was a shock. This island. There are tens of thousands of meerkats alive. Send a cautious approach to the center of the island. There is a clear puddle here. He was drinking and swimming in the lake. And enjoy it. And the tiger is happy as hell. Among the meerkats, eat a good meal of self-help. The evening Pi was going to spend the night on the tree. Suddenly all the meerkats were running for their lives into the forest, hiding in the trees. The night Pi was awakened by a meerkat. When he looks down, in the water pool unexpectedly sends out the faint green, and there are all kinds of animal remains floating in it. Turns out it's night in the lake. It turns into a very corrosive acid. The Pi plucked a strange flower from the tree. Peel the stamens. There's a human tooth in it. Now look out from a distance. The island was like a lying woman. Apparently it's a cannibal island. Pi was aware of the danger, decided to get out of here immediately. Before leaving, he prepared plenty of fresh water and food. Then he called out to the tiger. Did not expect. The tiger came to him as expected. In this way, a man and a tiger began to drift again. They lived at sea for 227 days, across the entire Pacific. At last they reached the coast of Mexico. When they set foot on land again, Pi had no strength left to fall on the shore. The tiger also jumped off the boat, and it has become very thin and weak. But he went into the forest without looking back. There is no nostalgia. Pi had no strength left to fall on the shore. The tiger also jumped off the boat, and it has become very thin and weak. But he went into the forest without looking back. There is no nostalgia. In a few hours, was discovered by the local villagers. When he was rescued, he broke down and cried. He didn't cry because he was rescued, but because the tiger left him so easily. Soon after, the ship company came to investigate the cause of the sinking. As the only survivor, Pi tells the story of his life with the tiger, but the investigators directly questioned it. There's a lot of illogicality in the story. For example, a female orangutan sits on a banana and floats in the sea. But actually, bananas don't float on water at all. In the face of doubt, Pi had to tell another story. 4 people survived this time. After the wreck, Pi and mother, sailors and cooks, 4 men boarded the lifeboat. The sailor broke his leg when he jumped overboard. A few days later, the murderous cook killed the sailor and ate him. Pi's mother saw this and quarreled with the cook to protect my son, and was brutally murdered by the chef. The cook threw his mother's body into the sea and fed it to the shark. The unbearable Pi killed the cook in anger and ate his meat. The sailor was a wounded zebra. The chef is a ferocious hyena. The mother is the guardian mother orangutan. The tiger, on the other hand, sends itself. When they were rescued, the tiger never looked back into the forest. It also means that Pi has abandoned the wildness of his heart. He chose kindness over kindness. This is the work of Ong Lee in 2012. As soon as the film is released, caused the conjecture of numerous netizens instantly. Some say the tiger is actually the father of the Pi, because before we got on board, father had an argument with the crew. It could be revenge for the hatred. The father of the Raptors killed the last of the crew. After being rescued because of guilt, the father and the son had to part ways. So, you after the movie, which story to believe? Leave your comments in the comments section. See you next time.